Do you want to blend up stuff fast? Do you want to blend it real good?
Are you confused whether to get the Ninja or the Vitamix?
Then keep watching. What's up, guys? It's Kat and Dev from Two Market Girls. For Whatever Wednesday this week, we are putting 2 high-speed blenders to the test.
Yes.
As a vegan, or just somebody who likes to blend stuff.
I think it's a really important tool as a vegan, but a blender is just a generic kitchen tool in general.
But a high-speed blender is a whole nother game.
Yes, and again, if you're a vegan, a high-speed blender is super important because you're going to be blending things like nuts and ice and frozen fruit. So you want to get the best one.
So we decided to compare 2 separate models. One of them is a little bit pricier, the other one a little bit less, but we thought maybe we could see which one is actually the best.
Yeah. So I have the Vitamix. I love my Vitamix, but the Vitamix is super expensive. You know, I got mine as a gift, so I didn't really have to spend money on mine, and I can't say that I would have just because, you know, cheap. I'm cheap.
But you do use it a lot.
I use it a lot. I love the Vitamix. It's totally worth the money in my eyes, the amount of times I use it. You just can't tell that until you get one.
Yeah.
And the money is total, like, barrier to that.
And then my family has a Ninja.
A new Ninja.
Yeah, we recently got it, so I'm not gonna lie, I haven't used it a lot. I've used some of the parts more than others. But the thing about the Ninja is that it retails significantly
way cheaper
less than the Vitamix. But it does a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, it claims to do a lot of the same stuff. We haven't used it yet until now.
Yeah.
We're putting it to the test. We basically just want to help you guys out and see which one you think is more worth it for you.
Yeah. So, test number 1.
Yes. I do, as someone who does a lot of baking, I think vegans tend to do a lot of baking, right?
Sure.
Anyone who does a lot of baking, they kind of like to make their own flours sometimes. So, like, sometimes recipes require oat flour, but who just has oat flour sitting around, you know? So, I don't. So, we wanted to really test to see if the blenders could make a flour, and we chose oats to do that. So, we both use just the normal blender attachments, right?
I used the Ninja Nutri Cup.
Oh, right, the single serve.
Yeah, it's like a single serve mini one.
I used just the smaller container I used my dry container, actually. So Vitamix, I don't really know what the difference is, to be honest. But Vitamix has a dry container and a wet container. I think the blade is just slightly different. I used my dry container for the flour.
So we both blended up a cup of oats.
Yep.
And the thing we were comparing is how long it took and the consistency when it was done.
Which I think this was the closest test out of all of them.
I think so
Because
too.
It took about the same amount of time, and they look really similar. Like, mine feels like flour. Mine has some chunks left in it. It does. It just might have been the size of the container I was using and how much.
I think mine was a bit faster.
Yes.
Probably also because I could do it in a smaller container.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing. Like, I think mine would, because I think yours is a little smoother, actually. Like,
Yeah.
I think mine has some chunks in there, but I think it's the size of the container.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a plus for the Ninja, because there is an individual container for the Vitamix, but it's f***ing expensive.
Ooh.
Like, I've looked into it, you need a separate attachment for the body as well as the individual cup. So, on my eyes, I think the Ninja wins for this, just because
You need this smaller.
you need this, if you're making this amount.
Yeah.
If you're making a larger amount, I think either one is fine. So the second test, something vegans do a lot of, is blending kale.
Do they?
You put a lot of green. A green smoothie is really popular now for anybody. So we wanted to see how well the blenders could blend up kale, because oftentimes you'll see like little green chunks in their smoothies and stuff, and that's not appetizing.
Yeah. And they get stuck in your cheek.
Yeah. So we didn't make a smoothie, but we just blended some kale and water just to see if it could actually get everything. And it was a pretty close test. I do think the Vitamix edged out
I think
slightly
so too, yeah.
to the Ninja. You use the individual cup again.
Yeah, the one maybe mistake I made in testing is that the water to kale ratio was not the best, so it kind of struggled to get to the kale and actually mix it up. But once we took a little bit of kale out and the ratio was more even, it could handle it pretty much the same as the Vitamix. Yeah. So I think if I had done it with that amount of kale in the bigger container, it might have gone better. But because we were doing such a small amount, I thought it made more sense to do the smaller one.
And we did strain them just to kind of see how much pulp was left over. And I think it was chunkier on the Ninja.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the Ninja had a chunkier pulp. Mine was kind of more like, almost kind of like a smoothie bowl consistent. It was very smooth kind of pulp. So I think the Vitamix wins on that front, but not by much.
No.
This is the result strained. So they're like the same.
Mm-hmm. Do you drink your salad?
Oh, it's horrible. Oh, it's so bitter. It's so bitter. Oh, I hate it.
That's really weird.
Yeah, put that down. That's gross.
For the third test, we thought something more everyday and that wasn't going to completely liquefy, but maybe more chop.
Kind of like we wanted to see if they could take the job of a food processor in a way. So we wanted to see if they made salsa.
Yeah.
And again, I think the results were pretty similar.
Honestly,
I think the route to it was a little different. The Ninja, just because of the way the blade is set up, it was kind of weird. Mm-hmm. And a big plus on the salsa especially is the, what is that called again? The tamper, yeah. The tamper that the Vitamix has, so the stick that essentially sits on top of the lid and that allows you to push things down is amazing for stuff like this. The fact that the Ninja doesn't have this is kind of a con of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of a negative of it, but...
Because if you're not doing a significant enough quantity, then it kind of struggles to get to everything that it needs.
So you'll have so some parts got really liquidy really quickly, and then some, there was like a half a tomato chunk still left. Yeah. So it struggled a bit, but in the end, the results were pretty similar, and it tastes delicious.
Yeah, they do look pretty much the same. The other thing to mention is that you can buy the Ninja as a set that comes with a food processor attachment. We chose not to use that just because Catherine's doesn't have a food processor, so it wouldn't be very fair. But if you did buy the Ninja set that comes with all three parts, then you're good to go.
Yeah. Fourth test, smoothies. We wanted to test something frozen.
Yeah, and why would you get a blender and not make a smoothie? I don't know.
You can't throw Anna and Elsa in there.
Whoa.
So we wanted to test something frozen, so we made just a basic smoothie. Frozen bananas, frozen fruit, frozen blueberries, I know those are fruit, and some almond milk. And again, I think it was pretty similar results. I think yours took a little longer.
Yeah, again, kind of the same issue we were talking about before is just if the quantity is not enough, so especially if there wasn't enough liquid, it really struggled to get to everything and it stayed chunkier for longer.
Yeah, I think it's like the Ninja blender has a huge base, so you kind of need a lot of quantity to fill that blender up. And to be honest, my Vitamix does too. I just have a slightly smaller container. It's not like an individual portion container, but it's small enough that I could still do the same amount of smoothie, but it's able to reach the blade better. So that helped the Vitamix a lot. But I mean, because the Vitamix has a huge base too. And I struggle with that all the time, so.
So if you're making a large quantity of smoothies, or probably, if you're making like a frozen drink, like alcoholic drink, then you definitely have a large quantity, and I think both of them would do just fine. Me personally, I have made a lot of smoothies with the Ninja so far, and I pretty much always use the mini cup because that's the exact amount that I need. Yeah.
So if you're just making it for yourself, that cup's probably amazing. But I mean, can you make 2 people in that small cup? No. This was probably a 2-person smoothie. Probably. And it still kind of struggled a little bit because it's still, I think they need an in-between size. Yeah. I think this fact that they don't have an in-between, like Vitamix has an individual one, no matter how expensive it is. They have an individual one, they have an in-between, and they have a big one. Yeah, that's true. I think that's kind of a plus on the Vitamix side, but we're going to taste it now because we have a smoothie and it's hot.
They've melted a lot. They would be excellent for a smoothie bowl. So if you wanted like a bit thicker consistency, they would do it perfectly.
Last but certainly not least, peanut butter.
This was an interesting test.
I've never made peanut butter before.
Me neither.
I've always just bought peanut butter because why would I make it? But it was pretty darn good.
I think it was pretty even, actually.
The Ninja took a little longer to
Yeah.
get to where the Vitamix got. So the Vitamix took about a minute and a half. And it still, I think the Ninja still looks a bit thicker, just slightly. It's very, very close. I think the Ninja's like just the tiniest bit chunkier, and the Ninja took 2 minutes to get to that point.
Yeah.
So it did take a little longer.
30 seconds longer for almost the same consistency.
For almost the same consistency. I think if you want to do this stuff all the time, honestly, I think the Vitamix one, just because of how quickly it does it, and because I think it's kind of just designed for it, that kind of stuff. But the Ninja did not do that bad at all.
Yeah. As like a lower cost option, I think it's fine.
We're going to eat peanut butter now.
Especially if you're kind of new to this kind of stuff and you haven't done it a lot and you don't know how much you'll be using it for something like a nut butter, then starting with the Ninja might be perfect place.
Always the size of peanut butter knife I use. It's pretty smooth.
Yeah, it spreads just like normal.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It spreads like peanut butter.
We made peanut butter.
I'm so proud.
In just 2 minutes, you can have peanut butter.
In just a minute and a half, you can have peanut butter.
Now, I've seen Catherine use the Vitamix many times, and it has never failed us.
No.
So we can attest to it being a quality product. The Ninja, I think, has so many qualities for someone who's new to
Yes,
it and
definitely.
wants to get into the high-speed blender game. And the fact that you get a food processor and a blender in one body.
If you buy the combo.
Yeah, if you have the option to buy the combo pack is a huge plus. Like, that's one of the reasons my family bought it, so they didn't have this extra food processor and blender sitting around.
So if you have a small kitchen, if you don't use your blender that often for like intense stuff, like if you're just using it for smoothies and like the basic blender things, Ninja's gonna be fine.
And I think one of the biggest things that a vegan would look for when they're checking for a high-speed blender is probably to make a cheese sauce, right? Because then you're dealing with blending up nuts and getting the right creamy consistency.
Yeah.
And we've made a cheese sauce with the Vitamix. I've made a cheese sauce with the Ninja, and they came out the same.
Yeah?
Like, the Ninja did very well. I was impressed.
I think honestly, if you have a small kitchen, if you're just starting out, you don't know what you're gonna use it for, if you don't have a lot of money to spend, go with the Ninja.
Yeah.
Totally go with the Ninja. If you know you use your blender a lot and you want to make things like nut butters and like you bake a lot, you want to do flours, which it was the same anyways, but if you know you use your blender a lot, we haven't tested this, she just got the Ninja. I'm gonna assume the Vitamix gonna last longer based on the price. I swear to God, it better last longer.
And it has a longer warranty, right?
Yes, my Vitamix has a 10-year warranty. That was a special promotion thing. I think they typically have a 5-year warranty.
That's still
a really long warranty.
I think the Ninja only has a year.
And mine isn't the lower end Vitamix, so there are cheaper Vitamixes than the ones I got. Mine's, I think, the professional series or something. I don't know where it went. Mine was, I think, around $500.
Okay.
But that was also on special, so it was originally more expensive than that. I think mine original price was like $650 or something like that.
Whoa.
So I do have a really expensive Vitamix, but there are cheaper ones. Like I think Vitamix starts around $300.
Okay.
$350 or something like that.
Which isn't too far off from the Ninja that comes with all 3 attachments. I think it was
this one?
I think it was 2 something.
Okay.
But that was a special at Costco too, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll leave price information.
Yeah.
All that information will be down below. But I think, honestly, they're both worth it in their own sense.
But you know, Christmas is coming up.
Just get both.
So you could put the more expensive one on your list. We have a link in the description to both of the models that we have, as well as some other models that we recommend if you want the cheaper Vitamix and stuff like that. And how many of you are thinking of transitioning to veganism in January?
You need a blender.
You'll be set to go. So we're here for you. That's it for this video. If you have any more questions about either of these blenders, be sure to leave a comment below. We'll answer it as best we can. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we post new vegan recipes every Sunday. We do whatever Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. And you're gonna wanna stick around for our How to Vegan the Holidays series.
Also, we have a bonus video out today. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we have a recipe today. Go check that out.
Okay, we have to clean up the huge mess that we made.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Bye.
I'm so spicy.
All right.
Wait, I'm dying.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't gotten spice in a while. Where did it go?
Up your butt.
In your mouth?
Whoa!
I was in
answering the where did the spice go question still.